Alright, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. This is the second last chapter that we are going to cover. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. The focus of this topic is on organizational change. Why it is kind of like related with the control, and because dalam organizational control, we want to ensure that the organization is confirming, is implementing whatever that has been planned by the organization earlier on, and then it has been implemented successfully throughout the management process. So that is part of the control that we have already discussed. And along the way, in order to do that, organization might need to make some changes in the organization, and the changes can be in many different forms. For example, changes in the organizational structure, changes, departmental changes in terms of the system, changes in terms of the technology, changes in terms of the business premise, and you need to be relocated, for example. And then in terms of the changes in the strategy, in the tactical plan that we have already initiated, but along the way you need to make some changes, and because you find that there are some deviations that occur in the implementation of the existing strategy, so it does not provide or yield the expected output, so you need to implement immediate change. So that's why we are at this stage where we need to learn and discuss about what is an organizational change. So it is a movement of an organization away from its present state and toward some desired future state to increase its efficiency and effectiveness. So meaning to say that changes sometimes occur in the middle of the process. While we are implementing the existing plan, you need to make some changes. You need to make some adjustment. Because of why? Because we need to ensure that the organization is able to achieve its desired future outcome in order to increase our effectiveness and also efficiency. We bring in a new player. We bring in a new system throughout the year in order for us to become more effective and efficient. And then it happens. It happens like what we are doing at the moment. And because of the changes in the lesson plan, and that we just acknowledge, and then we make some changes and in our existing lesson plan, and then we embed these new chapters, and because that is part of what organization needs to do in order to ensure that we are going to deliver what is expected. We are going to accomplish the intended lesson plan that has been scheduled and structured by the faculty. So in order to do or implement any form of changes, organization needs to balance the need to improve the way it currently operates and the need for it to change in response to new or unanticipated events. We want to come up with a new product, for example, and suddenly, and we are about to promote, to make the announcement and of our newly developed product, and suddenly the competitor and launch pretty much exactly the same product but way better than us. So what shall we do? Are we going to continue with our launching of a new product, or we need to make some adjustment in order for our product to become way better than the competitor's product? So these unanticipated events is something that you cannot control. So of course you need to balance. We also need to look at our capacity. So that's why you need to have a good balance between the need to improve the operations and also the need to improve to respond to the new events. Which one's way heavier than the other before you make changes or anticipate or implement a new change in the organization. So this is one of the model of change that has been proposed by Lewins. Hold on. Okay. Lewins force field theory of change. Kita ada the timeline, and kita ada level of performance on the y-axis, kita ada time dekat x-axis, Kan kita boleh nampak kan at the beginning when you want to introduce a new change in the organization, and of course the forces, the resistance to change tu is much stronger. And the resistance to change will occur because everybody, not almost everyone does not like change. And kalau kita ubah pakai jam tangan kiri ke tangan kanan pun kan, masa minggu yang pertama tu bila kita nak tengok jam, kita still lagi tengok tangan kanan, for example, because change is difficult. So of course when you want to implement changes, and at the beginning period, and a certain amount of period tu, maybe 3 months, 6 months, or even a year, and the resistance to change would be much higher. And but as you go along and with create awareness, training programs, and educate, kita try to educate the public, the employees, the consumers, and about why this change is necessary, and then people will gradually accept that this is the new norm. This is the new norm. Kalau kita ambil kira masa COVID-19 for example, masa mula-mula semua nak kena online, or even the lecturers pun ramai yang bising. Tak tahu macam mana nak buat, tak biasa nak dan sebagainya. Tapi bila kita gradually kan, educate, create awareness, provide training, and then people can gradually change. And then we can see that the resistance to change tu kan, dia makin lama makin berkurang, and then the performance will start to pick up, and in terms of the students performance, in terms of the lecturers performance, and so the forces of change ni, for change ni pun makin lama makin meningkat, and because people start to accept and acknowledge that the change is necessary. And so this is one of the good theory of change lah by Kurt Lewins. So the type of change, kita ada evolutionary and revolutionary. And evolutionary change is gradual, incremental, and narrowly focused, kan, constant attempt to improve, adapt, and adjust strategy and structure incrementally and to accommodate changes in the environment. And revolutionary change is rapid, dramatic, and broadly focused, and involve a bold attempt and to quickly find new ways to be effective, and likely to result in a radical shift in ways of doing things, new goals, and new structure for the organization lah. And macam changes in the technology and AI dan sebagainya. And so AI itu evolutionary lah. Tapi in terms of changes because of the COVID-19, very rapid, and kita daripada physical class pergi kepada online, for example. So it's very rapid and dramatic lah. And so we need to make a very bold and quick actions. The 4 steps and in the organizational change process. Number 1, of course, you need to assess the need for change, recognize if there is a problem, and identify the source of the problem. And then we need to decide on the change that you need to make, and decide the organization's ideal future state would be, and then identify what are the obstacles. And kalau in terms of knowledge, we need to provide training. And kalau in terms of money motivation, for example, you need to give more budget, for example. And then implement the change, decide whether the change will occur from the top down ataupun from the bottom up, and introduce and manage the change. And then finally, you need to evaluate the change, compare the pre-change performance and the post-change. And kita buat post-mortem lah. And if after the implementation of the new system, and how did we perform, did our KPI is above and beyond expectation, is even higher than before we implement the change. Top-down change is when you are in a fast revolutionary approach to change, in which top managers identify what needs to be changed and then move quickly to implement the changes throughout the organization. And then bottom-up change, and a gradually or evolutionary approach to change, in which managers at all levels work together and to develop detailed plan for change lah. So bottom-up is evolutionary, and kalau top-down is revolutionary. And then we have benchmarking, the process of comparing one's company's performance on specific dimensions with the performance of others, and so or high-performing organizations. And dalam implementing the change ni, sometimes yes, you need to benchmark, looking at what others have performed, the performance, the achievement of other organizations, just for us to make a comparison lah. And so that's how you learn whether or not you have implemented the change successfully within your organization or not. So that would be the end of the chapter. So it's a very short chapter, and but I think it is still relevant for us as part-time students who are currently, most of us are working in our organization, and these are some of the common issues that we continuously being exposed with. And so I'll see you in the final video, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum. Have a good day. Ciao.